Hello, good morning or good evening if you are watching this elsewhere. You can see this edition of Crossy's Corner has a very special guest, a very colourful, flowery guest as well. One of the world's greatest ever oarsmen, Eric Murray at Kiwi Pair. Great to see you, Eric.
Hey, thanks, Martin. Mate, I've been wondering when you were going to get me on here. I was like, shit, it's been about a year or so since you've been doing some broadcasts, and I'm like, man, I thought I would have been top of the list.
Yeah. Well, you were top of the list, but I was just waiting for a good time, and it had to be in the New Zealand summer. What have you been doing today, Eric? You look in fine form.
Mate, I just actually went and had a game of golf with Steve Williams, who was the Kiwi caddy that used to be with Tiger Woods. So like I'm right back into my golf. Love it, It's a great sport. And yeah, just through his son Rose at Westlake Boys in Auckland.
Yeah.
And so through a few friends, I went down and spoke to the school and did some bits and pieces. And I said, oh, yeah, that's Steve's boy. And I said, man, hook me up with a game of golf. And subsequently from that, so he wants me to chat to his boy and give him some tips because he's like an under 16 that does a pretty good erg. And he's like he's just right into rowing, school kid, passionate about it. So, hey, if I can help and I get some benefits by playing golf with one of the best sports people, in the world, I'll be like, mate, that's all me.
Well, what did you get round in today?
I was a bit bad. It was 80. So my handicap's like 6 at the moment. So it's
that low.
I know. Hence why, like, I've sort of got right back into my golf and I play every weekend, and you go and practice. And funnily enough, like really good friends, with good rivalries that you'll know that you create over the years. I chat to Mike Gennaro from the American Cruise. And of course, he's right into his golf as well. So we're like sending our cards and sending, oh, mate, I got an eagle today. Or we'll be like, and so we're just chatting and our handicap's really the same. So we're always like, mate, if one day we'll get back together and we'll go and like have a whack and it'll be bloody good fun.
Oh, wow, that's wicked. So, summer looks good in New Zealand, certainly by, your tan and your shirt.
Yeah, I got to say, like, we are pretty lucky over here, Like, just with what we did, we're lucky we're an island country where the government could just go, guess what, we're locking down. And we've actually, we've had a good run of no virus. It's all in the managed isolations, but we've got nothing in the community. And that's pretty much the key. So, like, I hate saying it, but we just going about our daily lives. We're contact tracing as much, and that's the thing. Like, we've actually got to get hard to go and contact trace. Like, that's what everyone's just like not doing because we're like, hey, it's not here. But we're sitting right on that knife edge where the new strain, if it gets out in New Zealand, like, we'll go back and lock down because we're so small and they just don't want our public system to be overrun. That's literally what will happen to us again. So we can sit here and laugh and go, look at us, we're in summer and we're just rolling around. But the fact is it could quite easily turn just like that. So, just hoping and staying vigilant, and our rowing season's been going great. The kids are going to be racing and our national champs at the end of February. So everyone's like right into it, fully keen, but it's only going to take something and then it's all over again, no school finish, no regattas, no nothing. It could be like you get to Henley again and, it might not happen or it might not, you know what I mean? And so, we're just hoping that doesn't happen.
And what's your reading of the Olympic situation? Do you think that's going to happen?
I don't know, I don't know. It was, I was still doing some bits and pieces with the Olympic team and this and that. And the word from Rob Waddell, chef de mission was like, it's happening. It's about how it's going to happen, and how every sport does it and et cetera, et cetera. But that was in December, and literally 6 weeks later, look at what we're talking about now, and that was 6 weeks ago, everyone was thinking, yeah, it's going to happen. Then all of a sudden, bang, guess what? Mr. Virus is fucking doubled his strength. And now it's like, okay, this is not looking great. And that's basically what's happened,
Yeah.
I can't see it happening. Like, this is the thing, is like, and it's just, if it's as infectious as it is and you can't control, like, et cetera, then like, why? I know economies and bits and pieces and they need it in Japan and stuff like that, but I just can't I just don't know if it's going to happen. You can't roll out the viruses. How do you go, oh, let's give an athlete a virus over someone in the NHS or whatever, that needs it? You just can't, look at it like that. And so that's the other part. So if they're not going to do it, I just hope they come out early and go, it's out, and I'd hate to have that decision, but like we've made some pretty tough decisions in the last 12 months. And if it's not really going to be like that big a deal. It's just going to be like, guess what? Worst case scenarios happened and everyone will be disappointed, but we'll just move on and figure out what's the next step. That's it.
What about the New Zealand team? Where are they? Are the boats selected yet for Tokyo?
No. So as far as I know, everybody's still training, doing their bits and pieces in their squads. And I don't think that there's any full-on selections. And, they haven't really done a lot of racing. The second lot of racing is going to come up in 2 weeks. So that's really the next chance for everyone to have a go. And that will be really just signal who, I know the girls are going really well in their squad. Emma's going fast, whether it's the same double, same lightweight double, it depends on how people have been going over that summer. But I think largely unchanged, but you still got to go through that process, and there could be people that haven't been on form. I don't know. I know Mahe's been injured for quite a bit, so he's getting back into it. Is he going to be fast enough? So I just don't know how it's going to happen. But it's only 2 months for us, and teams will be selected for going to World Cups or qualifying or to the Olympics if they happen.
And is Hamish still in the 8? And they've still got to qualify.
Yeah, they've still got to qualify. I know that those guys have been training pretty hard. It was a mixed winter because no champs or anything like that. So, Hamish, he did his training went hard, and I think he pumped out just before the end of lockdown a 5:44 or a 5:43. Yeah, but that was his end of year. He trained right through May, June, July, and then I think he did it maybe at mid-July, and he went that fast. And it was just well, I'm going to have 6 weeks off and then start training again for the summer, and that's basically what happened. So, I know he went pretty quick. I can't quite remember what it was, but it was just he was I'm fit. I put on strength and stuff like that. And so he was always going to be able to go quicker than he was when he was in the pair. But he managed to do it quite comfortably. And he's been training the house out, assault bike stuff. And on the erg, he's gone back to doing sub 145s for an hour at 140 heart rate. And you're just mate, you're back. He's going as fast as I would have been in 2016. That's the thing. He's only 34, so he's in his prime. I would say, in my opinion, I reckon between that 30 and 34 was my prime in terms of rowing. I felt the strongest probably 2014 when we did the Cox pair and the Coxless pair. We just trained hard, and our numbers on the machines were epic. And and I was 32, so I definitely think around that age, and that's where he is now. He's still right here, and it's just if we've got a good group of guys, well, New Zealand could be competitive, could be really, really competitive. They're just off the mark, but if they do it well and everything does happen, and they do go to qualify, and I think they could do that comfortably, and then could be real contenders. So we'll just wait and see.
That's really interesting. I'm just trying to work out the logistics of a crew from New Zealand going to the European World Cup season and what that might mean in terms of coming back and having to quarantine for 2 weeks or something like that.
I think the word was that if they were going to go, they'd go from there and then just fly straight to Japan and quarantine in Japan and bits and pieces. So I don't know the ins and outs. I'm not. I don't have the luxury of being part of the program sort of decision making. I just hear it from a few people here every now and again. So, well, we just got to wait and see. It's just how it rolls over here. And as I say, we're generally the first people to make the decisions, in rowing, because of course we finish end of February, team selected, and it's right, we're going to Worlds or we're going to Olympics or whatever it is. So everyone's done and dusted. They know what's happening. They know where they're going to go and race, this World Cup, that World Cup. It's just all sort of programmed out to you. And then you just structure your training around that and then hopefully win. So
Yeah.
things will happen here quickly, and yeah, it'll be pretty cool to see.
Yeah. What have you made since your retirement of the world of international rowing? The crews that you've seen, Croatians won the last World Championships in 2019 in the pair. What have you made from looking at the world rowing scene?
It's been a bit of a mix, really. I think, to be fair, one of the standouts out of the whole time, like I think did they lose one race in the last cycle, was like our women's double with Brooke and Liv Lowe.
Yeah.
So in terms of the most consistent, they lost one race out of probably 30 or 20 or whatever they've done in heats and semis at 6-8 World Cups that New Zealand's been to. And world champs, like I think, they lose in that 2017 year, or one of them, whatever it was? 2017, or no, 2018, whatever it was,
2018.
the middle one. But they literally have been the standout, because you go, man, they kept winning. So they had a dominance over that event, whereas everybody else has been pretty scattered, I think there's been some good changes at the top, and some good crews have won some stuff, and there's some really close rivalries in different events. And then you take the men's single, and that's been a humdinger. It's been so good to watch, and so you look at sort of stuff like that, and it's really just been a great mixture of different people, and then people moving into things, like the Australians have rowed real well in the men's four. Like that Dutch crew rowing at the Europeans, mate, I was just baffled at how good that looked. Like if you wanted to watch textbook rowing, you watched that and you were just like, holy shit, they just every stroke moved away, and it was never slowing the boat, so smooth, no splash. You were like, wow, and they just looked so easy. And so there's been some really cool crews to watch in the way they've done things. The Romanians in the pair at Europeans, they just got out, and then they just sprinted all the way. They just kept it up at 40, tap, 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 and away they went. And it was like, shit, they're going to win it. And so that was pretty cool. Just people that just took things by the scruff of the neck and went for it. And it was great to see,
Yeah. I was talking to Christian Felkel, one of the British coaches. He's now gone to a role as chief coach in Germany. And we were talking about the tendency towards high rating. And, I'm thinking about you and Hamish in the pair. I mean, what was your take on the rate that you went over at in races? And, how did you experiment with that?
I think it developed. It would be really actually quite interesting to have a look over our years to actually see what our ratings were, because we generally did rate high right from the start. But I think what happened was it just became more noticeable, because we just would keep a rate from 20 strokes in, and it just wouldn't go any different from that point right to the finish line. Whereas everyone sprint, and then you always, as you guys as commentators, oh yeah, they're down on 36, now they're into a rhythm, blah blah blah, and you'd be like, oh, Kiwis are still up on 40. And it was just because we hadn't done a big sprint, expended energy, come back down, and then we just went, okay, let's just have a bit of pop off the start, and then just hit our speed, bang, rest of the race. And that spreadsheet that I sent you just shows that what we were able to do, in big finals, we slowed 1 second, or what was 1.6 seconds from the first to second 500, and then we actually went quicker in the third 500, and then we were only 1 second slower than our first 500 in the last 500. So we were virtually even splitting the race, and that's, I think, what made it noticeable. And the only other reason that it came about was because, in 2010, after our world champs, at Carapero, where Pete and Andy nearly got us, the first week back, Dick just sat us down and he goes, right, we're not going to do any more weights. You're going to get faster by being fitter than you are by being stronger. We'll do 3 bungee sessions a week on the water, but we rode every single session. And that's what I think what happened over that, is because we probably lost a little bit of power from just explosive weights, because we just weren't doing them. And with Dick's program, it's not huge explosive intensity. And so basically from that, we were doing 8K races and 5K races, and we would just get it up high rate and just tap it along, find like the most efficient rhythm to hit the speeds. You know, and I was talking to Drew a while back about all my data that I'd sent him. And he was just like, mate, it's amazing. I said, yeah, well, you know, one thing that we used to do, like Hamish and I did really well, is we used to be able to pump it over in like 5Ks. And I think like our fastest 5K was like 16:10. So we're doing like 6:28 2K splits.
You're kidding?
5K. No. Yeah. So that was, you know, we were, I think we did like a 96.5% or a 97% 5K. And it was just like, but we rated like 36, 37 for 5K. And it was just so that we just didn't want to slow the boat down. And we just started to realize, well, why don't we use less energy at a higher rate than use more energy at, say, a 36? So you're not pulling as many watts, but you're just tapping along a little bit quicker. And because we didn't have that outright strength, because like we weren't doing weights, we were just rowing, which is, okay, we're getting into the rowing muscles, but we lost size. Like you could tell it, you know, we lost a bit of weight and bits and pieces. But the fact was we were just tapping it along, just tap, 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 tap. And so when we started racing against like Nathan and Joe and stuff and trying to out sprint them in the last 500 of like warm-up pieces, we were just like, we've just got to rate high and stay in front of them, you know, like play cat and mouse. They'd give us like a 5-second head start and we just had to find a way to try and beat them. And then over time, we just realized that rating higher was a great way to do it. And because we were so fit and because we were just like, we were super, super fit, you could do it because it didn't feel strange. You didn't get to like 600 to go just going, nah, I'm dead, I'm going to blow up. Because we had done it in training for longer distances, it just allowed you to be able to do it for that 2K. And it just, I guess when you got into racing, you know, you're always going to go like a point, maybe a point and a half, sometimes too high when you're in like a big setting, you know, because you just got that much more pumped up in adrenaline and everything that's going to go for it. So you're always trying to get that little bit extra. And I think that's why when we would do those races, it was just 40 all the way. And, you know, now you're seeing a lot of crews just dapping along like, man, those Aussie 4, what they do, like 42 or 43 all the way?
Yeah.
2017, it was nuts, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. You mentioned that race in 2010 on your spreadsheet, which is, talk a little bit about that, but that is the race with the smallest fade.
I love that race.
Yeah.
No, I love that race. No, we went, no, I think on that one, if I had it in front of me, we sub-splitted the second K by nearly 7 seconds or 5.5 seconds or something. And we had to. Like, if we were going to win, it was what we had to do. And like the first, Karapiro is notorious in pretty crappy conditions. The way the lake actually works is you sort of get a headwind at the start, sort of starts turning side through the middle. And at the end, it's quite calm because of the big bank over the side. And so basically it was like, it was always going to be tough in the first part of the race. And we just sort of went out, like, I love that race because it really was a turning point in our career, where we just reacted to what everybody else was doing. You know, you did what every coach goes out and tells you to do, right? Get out on the start, see where you're sitting, and then react to that. You know, we'll try and push you, we'll try and do that. And so that was just what we did because that was what we were told to do. And so, of course, that's just what we did. And I'm looking across going, oh, yeah, they're beside us, you know, okay, go through 750, do a bit of a move. And I was like, okay, we're pulling level, you know, and then just before the K, shit, they're still there, 1200. And then like 1500, I had to go like that. And I went, fuck. And it was like, when you have to turn your head more than like 90 degrees and you've got to look backwards to see how far in front they are, you go, oh shit, we're in trouble. And I've mentioned it before somewhere, and like, I still truly believe that the only reason that we won that race was because of local water. You know, like literally, I don't know what everybody does for pieces, right? You know, but everybody works off the boys, you know, predominantly, right? So 500 to go, you're like, right, and you might understand there's 10 strokes, we're going to lift some pressure or we're going to lift some rate, whatever. But then when you see that 250 line, it's like go 100% or die, like whatever, you've got nothing left, empty the tank. And we went about 350 to go. So I could see out of the corner of my eye, I knew that there's a little bit of a hump just before where the yacht club was, and then you had Ryan New Zealand, and then you hit the 250 meter mark. So it's about 100 meters. And I knew it was then. I just said, hey, gotta go. And like, we just basically, I think we just hit top speed before the British did. They hit it just after the 250. And I think literally I'd never ever spoken to them about the race, like never know when they were meant to do something or whatever. I just truly believe that we just got that jump on them and we were there. And that was all it came down to. And it was just like, it was the best race, like the closest one. And afterwards you like were elated, but you're like, I can't believe that just happened, you know? But what that really did was that, you know, that was just, it was an amazing time in that rivalry that we had. But what it did is after that year, we just sat down and said, man, we're not letting that happen again. We've got to like just come up with a way. And so our way was, and I don't know if I mentioned it to you one time or someone hit us up when we went to, it didn't really get seen until we went to like Hamburg that year. And of course we won that race in the heat by like 23 seconds or some stupid thing. And everyone came up to us afterwards and they were going, like, why don't you back off? Like, you guys were still rating like 37 at the finish. And everyone thought we'd just get out in front and just get out and go, oh, yeah, you know, take the rating down to 28 and just pedal it across the line. But our whole philosophy was we will go as fast in every single race that we do, whether it's a heat, a semi, or a time trial or a final. And if you want to keep up with us, good luck. So we never just did enough. We never went into a heat, like even though some of our times might suggest that we did, we'd go into it and we'd get out in front, we'd keep pushing, and we'd just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And that's why I think what created Hamish and I, and I guess the legacy is when people watched us in the heats, we're that way. And of course, but if you watch a lot of other events, like definitely in the singles, you know, guys are in second place going, okay, I'm going to qualify for the semis. I'm just going to take it down and let everyone and throw in front of me. So we just went away from that. And it was just literally go as hard as you can every single race. Don't let anybody get sniff, and it's going to give us heaps of confidence. So that 2011 year was one of our best years, you know. And then by the time we got to the final in Bled, it was basically the same thing. We were just like, we're going to get out in front. We're going to get out in front and like just try and put a hammer, like nail in the coffin as quick as we can. And that's what we did through the middle K. And then of course, you know, Pete and Andy are sprinting to the line, and here's us both coming across the line in like 6:14 in pretty standard flat conditions, not much of a tail. And you're just going, man, you've got two exceptionally fast fucking pairs out there. You know, and that was it.